Welcome back to another episode of After Credits. We just sat through 2 hours and 20 minutes of Hacksaw Ridge, the new war film directed by Mel Gibson, starring Andrew Garfield as Desmond Doss, the first conscientious objector to be awarded the Medal of Honor for his courageous acts. Now, if you have no fucking idea what a conscientious objector is, or if you can't even fucking say it, this guy, because of his religious beliefs and his moral convictions, refuses to even physically touch a gun. He's that opposed to killing. The movie gives you an insight into his psyche, his struggles trying to get it into World War II with that mentality, and his actions on the battlefield, which earned him that Medal of Honor. This is a steak sandwich wrapped in shit. The first 40 minutes and the last 20 minutes I think are crap, but the rest of it is really fucking good. Once he gets on the battlefield, I think this movie's best. Until then, I thought that Mel Gibson's direction went corny and over the top, and the script didn't help much either.
I think that's a really good analogy, but for a different reason. The trailer made it look so much worse than it actually was. I didn't expect to like the movie at all, but I actually thought it was pretty decent. Aside from the first 20 minutes of awkward, failed Disney love story, and
That was really bad. Oh my god.
that made me uncomfortable. And I know we weren't the only ones, because the people next to us were like, what?
I think that might be one of those things that, oh, this is the 1940s. In the 1940s, it's normal. And I'm like, I don't think
Just
so.
sell yourself away to the first man you meet.
Well, before we go any further into
I
that,
explain that.
yeah, spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about this in detail. So if you want to just know our quick final thoughts and scores out of 6 stars, go to the time code here. Otherwise, you have been warned. Yeah, the first 20 minutes of this movie is Andrew Garfield creepily hitting on Teresa Palmer.
Borderline stalking.
Desmond donates blood where Teresa Palmer, who plays Dorothy the nurse slash future wife, works at. And the first time he sees her, it does one of those slow-mo, like, la 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 looks. It's fine, because, you know, he's looking at her from afar. And then you have, like, 10 minutes of him creepily smiling at her while she's just trying to
Not
do
even
her
blinking.
goddamn job. If you want to put the Halloween music over this kid's face,
It would work.
it's terrifying. She's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm just looking for my belt, cause I can't hold my pants up. I was cringing. I was visibly just like almost hiding behind Brittany.
I would have called the police on him.
Seriously, because any other movie, this kid would have been escorted out. They make this point of like, you don't know how to talk to a woman, don't you? You don't know boy-girl relationships. And it made me think if this kid's autistic.
I was thinking the same thing.
I don't know, he just has this weird accent, which they do show the real guy at the end of the movie like they do with all of these. And he does sound and look like that.
You
But
have like
you-
Cheeto fingers. Ew.
No, there was just so much gore in that movie that it literally leapt off the screen.
That is something I really loved about this movie.
This movie has some cartoonish ass gore, and it's fucking funny as shit.
Those spurting arteries.
I love that. The beginning of the movie, you see Desmond working in the church with his mom, and he sees this kid get hit by a car. Like, the kid's working on a car, and the jack breaks, and so it pins his leg. And when he pulls out his leg, this kid's leg is just splurting blood.
It's not like an eruption of blood. It's just like a single little, like a little water fountain coming out of his leg made of blood.
Mel Gibson is one of those directors that is in no way afraid to show you bone, maggots crawling and chewing dead flesh, freaking dudes' bodies looking like fucking puree meat. This is,
Rats eating dying flesh.
it looks like a goddamn PETA ad. There's a part where a soldier picks up half of a guy and legitimately uses him as a meat shield, and it was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen.
I think after the first 20 or 30 minutes, the movie got pretty awesome.
Really, it's when he gets to Japan.
Yeah.
And The reason it's called Hacksaw Ridge is because this ridge on a cliff oversees Okinawa, and the idea is if they take the ridge, the Allies can push further into the city of Okinawa and then take Japan. The whole movie has huge stakes because they put the fate of the entire war on this one small event. But before that, we have 40 minutes of bullshit because the first part of this
daddy
movie...
issues.
I'm not actually talking about that.
Oh, what are
I'm
you
talking about the army, because everyone in the army
Oh.
is giving this guy shit because he doesn't want to physically touch a gun.
I didn't think that was the bullshit. I thought the bullshit was the whole family drama and pseudo love. Are we talking about different bullshit here?
I think we're talking about different bullshit. Oh my
Alright,
god.
that never happens.
That is weird. My bullshit comes from the fact that this is one guy. They do the whole Band of Brothers thing where they show you 10 guys and give each of them a name and each of them like a weird quirk or something. Half of those motherfuckers are gone in less than 5 minutes. This movie is so built on the realities and the horrors of war that really, if one guy doesn't want to carry a gun, fucking let him.
Right?
Chances are he'll be dead within the first 30 goddamn seconds. These people are
Took
trying
it
to...
personally.
They're trying to frame... And I would understand that with the whole World War II, serve your country, this is how you do it mentality.
You're
But
supposed to have each other's back. You can't do that with a gun, yeah.
Exactly, but the movie doesn't linger on the society around him. That's my first part that I don't understand. They explain that if he wants to be a combat medic, because, you know, that kid that got crushed by the car, he built a makeshift tourniquet, and
He
the
found
doctor...
his calling that day.
Pretty much, he found his calling.
And his wife, apparently.
Yeah, that part gets creepy. But he found his calling, and so he wants to be a combat medic. But part of the requirements is that you have to finish the rest of basic training, which includes learning how to shoot a rifle. There is one part of me that's like, okay, you're telling me that you can't physically pick up the gun and learn how to shoot.
Yeah, like the Bible says nothing about holding it, just using it to kill somebody.
You're going to be shooting at targets, not at human beings. You're not... Shit, since you're the only one that hasn't passed this by this point in the movie, you'll probably just be doing it on your own with one other army officer showing you how to shoot a gun. Why don't you just learn how to shoot? And then they show a flashback, which at first I thought was a dream because it's positioned that way, but then later it turns out like that was a real thing, where this might lead into your bullshit. His father is a World War I veteran, and he's seen his friends die, so he's pretty much anti-war. He's a drunk because he has to deal with going back
We all
home.
have our vices.
He beats his wife, and in this flashback, Andrew Garfield breaks in through the door and he finds that his dad has a gun and he's yelling at his mom, basically about to shoot her. So Andrew Garfield takes the gun away from his dad and points it at him. And while he doesn't shoot him, he could feel all that desire in his heart too, because his dad is one of those guys that like just beats the shit out of his kids for no reason, lets his kids fight. Desmond and his brother are fighting as children, and Desmond's older brother is on top of him getting a couple good licks in. Desmond grabs a goddamn brick and nearly fucking kills this kid.
That is the exact moment my expectations for this movie took a 180. I was like, alright.
I was like, fuck
cool.
yeah, man. Mel Gibson doesn't give a fuck about these kids. He doesn't kill the brother, but goddamn hits him right in the temple, just like you can see the blood almost about to leak into his eyes. Shit gets real. I kind of see now where he's physically afraid to touch a gun because there's some psychological trauma done with that.
In the beginning, they kind of touched on him being a violent kid.
Yeah.
So maybe he's got some urges that he finally learned how to repress, and maybe he's afraid that he'll bring him back up if given the tool to do so.
Now here's my issue. There is a scene that lasts about a good 3 to 4 minutes where he's getting a psychiatric evaluation as to why he doesn't want to physically pick up a goddamn gun. And he goes on this bullshit speech about his morals and his beliefs and convictions. Honestly, if he would have just said all the shit that's in the flashback, everyone would have been cool with it.
Right? We'd be like, oh, you had a fucked up childhood, alright?
I think what this movie's trying to do is that it'll hear my argument just now and go, well, shouldn't an individual's beliefs take precedent? He doesn't have to tell you his story. An individual's beliefs take precedent over anyone, even the government's say, over what you should do.
Bullshit.
I'm sitting there like, all right, you're trying to get your message, but it's kind of mixed.
Yeah, a little bit.
They would have gotten rid of that bullshit. Or, you know what? Don't even give me the flashback.
With the father and the gun?
Don't even give me that.
Oh no, I like that.
Well, I like that too, but here's the thing. You either make your point about an individual's beliefs, or you explain it as a normal human being would.
Yeah, but it's not that black and white. Partly why he has those beliefs is because of his childhood and how his father treated his family.
It gets to a point where it's so ridiculous that he's talking about this religious stuff, and half the shit he's saying isn't making sense with the plot around him.
He's kind of just like driving this point that does not matter in.
I'm saying it's a fault of the screenwriter. You basically gave me a couple outs, and it depends on what kind of movie you're trying to make. And I don't think those movies are gelling if you give him a legitimately good reason for why he doesn't want to go, and then for some reason not have him explain that. If he would have explained it and the army would have been like, bullshit, everybody's got some fucking problems, deal with it, I would have been fine with that. It would have been fucked up what happened to him, but at least he tried. He doesn't try.
Why were they gonna throw him in jail though? I mean, he wasn't...
Because
he hasn't finished basic yet. That's what he was in, right? Basic training?
The idea is that disobeying an order from your commanding officer lands you in military prison.
Even in basic training?
Yes, especially in basic training.
That's a little much.
Well...
They could just discharge him over...
Well, they were going to court-martial him, and then they were going to plea bargain with a dishonorable discharge. But if he would have kept going, they would have given him the full extent.
So that was like a last resort?
Yeah, they were basically trying to just get him out.
They thought of him as a liability.
Again, just let him get shot. That's my bullshit. What's yours?
I don't like how they set up his childhood, basically. Just something about it felt forced and cheesy. And
kinda, yeah.
It's like they were trying to take these problems and dramatizing them, which, okay, they were legitimate problems, but we didn't learn that until the end. They didn't say anything about his father being abusive in the beginning. They didn't say anything about his father abusing his mother. They just kind of said he drank and
lets the kids fight,
and that his brother hated the father, but they didn't really say why. They didn't really understand why he believed the things he did, or why the father treated him the way he did.
As far as the father being abusive, they do have that scene where the kids are sleeping in bed and the parents are having a giant fight.
The parents fight.
Yeah, but
there was something physical about that
in movie language, that's hint to the father being a verbally abusive.
It was a little too subtle, I think.
I did love Hugo Weaving, though.
Who was that?
The dad.
Okay, yeah.
Hugo Weaving is Agent Smith.
He was more of a complex character than I would have thought.
There are so many times in this movie that he goes to the graveyards of his buddies and is just looking at their graves and crying, drinking, reflecting on death.
But then you also see like the violent, aggressive side of him when he's pointing guns at his wife.
Pretty much.
So it's interesting seeing two sides of that man.
It did a lot more for PTSD than I think the whole of American Sniper did. The beginning is also stuck on the, will he go to prison? Will he not? Will he quit the army because of his beliefs?
He's not. They wouldn't have the movie if he did.
Yeah,
so it's like, okay, let's get past this.
If you fucking saw the trailer, and it's surprising because, like, with his romance, they rush through that.
Yep.
And
that was another problem I had. Like, they meet, and then it's like the next week they get married and they're in love all of a sudden.
And I would forgive that if this movie would just pass through basic training and get to the actual deeds that he did. But no, it just feels rushed in a segment that you thought, I really could have cut out a lot of this basic training shit. But let's talk about the good shit, which is as soon as he steps on the battlefield, shit gets real.
And bloody.
Close-ups of dudes with just wounds everywhere.
mangled
my
flesh hanging
God.
outside of their bodies. The
Dude.
girl next to us kept cringing and she squealed once. Did you notice that?
Yeah, but fuck that bitch. She was on her phone the entire movie.
What is with that lately?
I think we're just getting more attuned to it.
Ugh.
Maybe because we go see so many movies and we bitch about it in every single video. She was right next to us too, like 2 seats away. I see in my peripheral this bright ass light and she's just texting for no goddamn reason.
Even if it is a bad movie, it's almost a full theater. It's just disrespectful.
It really
You're not
is.
going to be the only one not enjoying the movie. Somebody else is probably enjoying it, but you pull your phone out and now
We've
you're
literally
distracted.
had that. We had that at Ouija. That person in the front section that thinks, oh, I'm in the front section, nobody will see me.
Everybody can see
You
you.
fucking idiot.
If you can't resist the urge to text for a couple hours, then you have more problems than you realize, I think. So, the app is the least of your worries.
Won't fucking argue with you. There are breaks in the action where, you know, at first he has cover while he's rescuing these guys.
He has different types of action.
Yeah,
so
like-
it wasn't boring.
Exactly, like there's the shaky cam hellfire, and then there are times when the cover is away, and it's more like a Metal Gear Solid game, and he has to be sneaky, and he has to find ways to get past people. And then
They're really clever with that too.
the Japs are like literally one ridge, one trench away from finding him out, and there's this guy that he has to protect. So it's this one you see in the trailer. He buries his head in sand and covers his face. He covers himself with a guy. And thank God that the one Japanese soldier who's over him looks at it, grabs his bayonet, and goes at an angle that doesn't hit
Just
him.
conveniently missed them.
Well, I mean, otherwise we wouldn't have a movie. It would have been like an Oregon Trail.
Plot
You
devices
died
and all
by
that.
bayonet. There's a scene where he escapes the Japanese, diving into a foxhole, and he finds himself inside a Japanese bunker, and he has to round corners and hide in shadows. Hacksaw Ridge gets bombed pretty much by artillery fire, and then the Japanese chase most of the guys off of the ridge, except for Desmond, who stays behind to single-handedly find any dude he can and rescue them. And not only does he have to rescue them, he has to lower them off of the cliff. So he finds a way to do that by basically putting them inside this little rope stretcher and pulley systeming them down. And you see his hands just like torn up to fucking shreds. Every time he rescues one, he's just sitting there like, please Lord, help me get one more.
That was cheesy.
He's all on his lonesome. He has to go grab some guys, pulley them down the mountain, keep going back. Lord, help me get one more. Which, in the context of that scene, is actually a really goddamn good line. And it's a line that you hear the real life guy talk about. He basically saves 75 dudes and is awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. So if you went to the time code, welcome back. We're going to talk about final thoughts and scores out of 6 stars. For Hacksaw Ridge, going to keep this quick because the battery's running low. I thought the beginning was cheesy. I thought it was corny old Hollywood crap. The reasons for people opposing this guy shooting a gun were manufactured in a way that just didn't make any sense. But as soon as the battle stuff happens, it's some of the coolest action I've seen all year. Thought it was diverse. I thought the gore was fantastic. I thought the cinematography was great. The grandeur of Mel Gibson is all in this middle hour, and I thought it was great. The ending is kind of corny, but once you see that real guy up there, it's kind of hard not to get choked up. Man, I wish this were a lot shorter. It would have been a lot easier to sit through. It kind of knocked down my enjoyment a lot. So I'm just gonna go 3.5 out of 6 stars.
I think this movie is worth seeing solely for the battle scenes, if not anything else. Those were enjoyable. I think I'd give it a 4.
Liam saw this movie first, and he gave it a 4.5
Really?
out of 6
You liked
stars.
it that much?
Alright, super quick. Halfcock Verdict is down there. All our information for the site and for Liam's blog and everything is down there too. Let us know what you thought about the movie. Next time we're going to try to check out Loving, the Joel Edgerton, Ruth Negga Supreme Court interracial marriage equality movie. We're trying to hit up Arrival, the Denis Villeneuve alien movie next time. And until then, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you later. Bye.